And when we rounded that corner of one of the mountains and I saw that little bitty town spread out before me, my first words were, "Oh my gosh, how cute and quaint it is." I love Twentynine Palms because at the time it didn't feel like a military town.
This is the Desert Lady Diaries podcast, 30-minute conversations with women who have found their home in the Mojave Desert. I'm Dawn Davis, and this is episode 125. Find out more about the podcast at desertladydiaries.com or engage with guests, listeners, and me on Facebook and Instagram at Desert Lady Diaries. Cathy Snodgrass knew she'd found home when she arrived in January 1976. A glimpse of 29 Palms from Joshua Tree National Monument captured her heart forever. At that moment, she never wanted to live anywhere else. With each year that's passed, she falls in love with the desert more and more. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
What was your first experience with desert?
The only experience with the desert I had prior to arriving in 29 Palms was from Western movies.
Oh, okay. I don't know if you know Jane Spider Falk. She lives up on the mesa. She used to be a park ranger down in Southern California somewhere. And she grew up in England and had the same experience. She couldn't wait to get to the Badlands because she kept watching it on TV and seeing it I think it was Saturday, they had these special events where she'd go and watch these movies, and that's what her dream was then, to go to see the Badlands. So what then brought you to this desert, the Mojave and 29 Palms?
The Marine Corps sent us to 29 Palms. I came out with my first husband and a child, and the marriage didn't last, and he went his merry way, and I stayed in 29 Palms and was determined to never leave.
Really?
So much so that it was a condition of my second marriage.
Oh, wow.
So I married my husband of 40 years less. He was a Marine, and I said, I will never leave 29 Palms. You can do whatever you want, go wherever you want. I'm not leaving. And he was crazy enough to say, I agree. So that's that.
Wow. So tell me what it was about this place that had you so adamant that you just wanted to stay.
Sometimes one just knows things. You know where you belong. You know where your forever home is. I would like to say that I always felt I belonged in California, and that's true, but it's a feeling. I mean, you can see forever, and there's beauty, and there's no obstructions, and you've got the mountains and the valleys and the colors, and it was just so beautiful for me. It was so peaceful to my heart to be here. There was one period of time between the marriages where I decided to go back to see family for a couple of weeks, and I was smothered by the green. I couldn't wait to get back where I was really home, and that was in 29 Palms.
And where was the green?
In Texas.
Texas. Okay, well, I saw a couple of books on your, I think it was on Goodreads, that you've written that were brides in Texas or something.
Yeah. Yes.
I was wondering where that Texas came in from.
Yes.
Yeah. Where in Texas were you born and raised?
I was raised on the Gulf Coast of Texas,
Oh, okay.
A little bit down from where Galveston is.
Oh, okay. My uncle lives there now, down in Galveston, or not in Galveston, but one of the places. There was a lady in my shop about 3 weeks ago. It was actually a family that came in. And I always ask, are you local or visiting, and where are you from? And they were like, Texas. I go, oh, really? Where in Texas? She's like, Dallas. And of course, my back goes up a little bit because I'm a New York Giants football fan, and we don't like the Dallas Cowboys. But beyond that, then I said, oh, my uncle lives in Texas. He lives down in Galveston. And she was like, ew. And they walked out of the store. And I was like, well, that is interesting. I wasn't expecting that. So after that one visit back to Texas, to the green, and you felt smothered, do you go back and visit family at all? Do you still have people there?
I do not go back to visit. I have only one aunt and uncle remaining from my family. I've got a lot of cousins, but I've not gone back for quite some time. I can't remember the last time that I was back in that area.
Gotcha. Being here in this part of the country since 1976, can you describe a little bit what it was like arriving here in 29 Palms? Those are some of the things that people listening love hearing. about what this area was like before it became what it is now?
I remember it'd been a long day, and we had decided to come through the national park because we didn't know there was any other way to get to Twentynine Palms. And when we rounded that corner of one of the mountains and I saw that little bitty town spread out before me, my first words were, "Oh my gosh, how cute and quaint it is." I love Twentynine Palms because at the time it didn't feel like a military town at all. There were lots of places to shop. There were lots of activities. You had 2 drive-in theaters. You had 2 shoe stores. You had dress shops. You had a Five and Dime. It was everything. You could walk anywhere and do anything. You could never be bored because there was always something to do. So when I look at Twentynine Palms now, I can't say that it's no longer a military town because now it has all those hallmarks of a military town with barbershops and tattoo parlors and massage parlors and all of that. So when I'm in Twentynine Palms now, it just is like being in Quantico, Virginia back then. So I still love the town. I will never leave. I will never turn my back on Twentynine Palms. If someone tried to force me to leave, they would have a big fight on their hands. And I actually have nightmares from time to time where somebody is trying to force me to leave Twentynine Palms, and I'm just begging, no. And that's how I wake up, begging them not to take me away.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
So I'm very heartbound to the area.
Absolutely, yeah. And what has made that your way of being? Is it a combination of the landscape and the people and the friends that you've come to have there? Or is it just that you know in your heart this is the only place for you?
I've lived in other places. Military, you do. And this was the place for me. I think a lot of the way I feel about Twentynine Palms is probably because of how I've grown as a person. I'm definitely not the person I was in 1976. I've grown, I've become more reflective, I'm very spiritual with nature. I love nature, I love the animals, I love the wildflowers, I love everything about it. I love that when you are involved in an organization like the Twentynine Palms Historical Society, there is a great camaraderie there where everyone is pulling together for one common goal, and that's to share and save the history of the area for everyone. It's just nice to see something, an event or something, just come together because people are just doing it. And I try to use my organizational skills to try and help them keep on track and all of that, because that's organization is one of my superpowers. So
right.
So I do that, but it's just been wonderful to see all of that.
So did you use those superpowers? Because one of your bios says that you were a paralegal in tax law.
Yes.
Was that a family business or
no? I got a job as soon as I came to town with civil service on the Marine Corps base. They had known I was coming and they had a temp job for me. So I started in that particular job, and then I just moved from here to there until finally a situation opened at the Staff Judge Advocate's office, and I was accepted for a position there, and I kind of made a home for myself. Legal was a good fit for me. I understood legal very well, and I moved from being a GS4 clerk typist up to being a GS11 paralegal.
Sounds like a big jump.
It's through the years, not instantly, but yes, through the years.
Right.
I just, in that situation too, I would find something that there was a need, and then I would talk to my supervisors about it, and then, yes, she's right, there's a need, and we need this, and we need her to do it. And so that's how it all came to pass. I was one of the first civilian paralegals in the Legal Assistance Office.
Wow.
And then the Staff Judge Advocate's Office became in charge of doing taxes for the Marines. And I saw there was a need to have a separate tax office on the base. And they agreed, and that's how I got my GS11. And I took early retirement when I was 50 because it was an extremely stressful job. Very stressful. And I'm very pleased to see there still is a tax office on the base. So that makes me very happy that something I created for the good of the Marines is still existed.
So
in this civil service job, and then you retire at 50, is that when the writing started, or was that something that you were doing like kind of as a side hustle, as we call it today, while you were working in civil service?
The thing about writing is when you're called to write, you will write and you will find time. I was getting up 2 hours in the morning before I had to go to work to write. And then at night, I was working 2 hours every night before I went to bed to write. So you will write because the writing gods decree you will write,
Right.
and you do. So it was over a lot of overlapping there. I started writing in 1986.
Okay.
And so it was 3 decades of writing. At the same time, I was trying to do my job as well.
Right,
So,
yeah.
and weekends were devoted to writing. You lock yourself away, you write, and then you go to work, and then you write, and that's it.
Did
Very
you
demanding.
have formal writing instruction, college courses, or did you just sit down one day and say, I need to write this? What I'm hearing and seeing needs to be written down.
Well, I had a dream one night about this place, people, their situations, the dangers they were in, and the story kept playing out in my dream. And I woke up and the story kept playing out, and I made my husband sit and listen to me tell all about this story. And I said, and I think it would make a good book. And he said, well, then just write it. And that's what started.
Wow.
It was 3 years of just writing, just for the heck of it, until I realized I was doing things wrong. I joined an organization of which I'm no longer a part, but I joined the organization, and for writers, it was a great teaching organization. I really learned a lot from them at that time. Once you became to publish author, though, they ceased to have been of any benefit to you. But it was a great learning tool, and you learned a lot about, well, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, and all those things. And so that's how I learned. It took me 13 years of writing before I was ever published.
Wow.
And then it snowballed.
Right. I think that's important for people to hear, especially on social media. You have these people, they're selling courses or promoting themselves as, I made $100,000 writing books last year. And then, the real story is they've been doing it for 13 years before they actually got published. So, and it seems like you never hear that part of the story.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I know a couple of people who say they've made $100,000 a year, but most of the people that I know, you're lucky if you make $100 a month. You're lucky if you make that.
Right.
It's very demanding. It's very crowded. It's very tough.
Yeah.
If anyone would come to me and want to be a writer, I would say, no, you don't. No.
Would you say that about somebody just writing that wants to write books, or because our internet now is so content heavy and based, there's many positions and jobs available for people writing internet content?
I would dissuade them from writing fiction because everyone has this glorious idea of how it's going to be, and it really isn't. When I took the early retirement from my day job and I was home writing, I had no friends at all. I was locked away in the house 24/7 with no social contact at all other than what I could get from online and writers. That's what I did. That's what we all have to do. It's really no way to live.
No.
I mean, we're meant to go out and do things with other people.
Be connected.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're meant to do that. And because I live where I live, I don't have the benefit of vast groups of writers. And anytime you would come across another writing group, they really weren't interested in you because you don't write good stuff. You only write romance. So that was... you just get used to it, It's like, okay, I'm fine.
Right.
But it is a very demanding job, and anyone who can... I just finally decided for myself that I need to take a back step last year because things were getting way too crazy, and I just simply couldn't bear to hear one more negative thread about anything. I was staring at 35,000 words of a book that I had written, and I just put it away. And I threw away 30 years of research material because it really was irrelevant. Yeah, it's 30 years ago. It's no longer irrelevant. And then I just let the universe have me. And I've been happier and busier than I've ever been for all those years of the writing. So
it's amazing when you put that faith in the universe that
Yes.
way, that it just shows up
yes.
for you. And does that mean we're talking about your ceramic work that you're doing?
I'd been doing the mosaics for a while, but I can't say it was any specific one thing. All I knew is I was extremely tired, and it was just so much craziness going on in the writing field, and I was just so unhappy. And I'd been unhappy for a while, and I'd had 6 publishers close on me over the years, and then in the last 3 years, I've lost 4 of them, and I had 1 left, but I had a backup plan. I had editors who wanted to help me, edit my work if we're going to go freelance and all of that. Then sure, I had all my plans. I had a cover artist all set aside, and I got all my books back out there very, very quickly so they could still be out there for everyone. But doing new material, I just couldn't. I just couldn't write another word. And when you sit down and look at it, 33 years of sitting and locking yourself away, and it's a long time.
That's a long time, yeah.
And I didn't.
That's a career.
It is a career.
Yeah,
it is a career.
yeah.
And I justified it because, you spent 30 years in civil service and you're retired now. You're doing 33 years, and let's see what happens.
Right.
And it's just been kind of wonderful. My friends have noticed a big difference in how I am, and I smile more, and I have more being present with people than before because my mind's not the voices in my head shut up.
Yeah.
That was quite something because somebody be talking to me, I have no idea what you're saying because I've got to get Mary and John together up here. And so stuff like that. It was just ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. But it's what I did. That's the path I took, and I just decided to take another path because there's no wrong paths. There are just different lessons.
Right. Did you have any sense of when you came to this realization of, well, I was in that civil service job for 30 years and now that's over, and now I've been in this writing gig and that's over. Was there ever any sense of grieving or loss over that stuff?
Well,
to try and move past it, to go to the next thing, whatever that is?
I believe in the universe, and I allow the universe to guide me. But sometimes I can't get out of my own way. Many years ago, when I was doing research into the this and the that, as far as my own spirituality is concerned, I put myself in a meditative state to determine why am I here and what am I supposed to be doing? Well, the answer was that I am here to learn as much as I can about as many things as I can and to share that information with as many people as I can. It happened when I was working at SJA. There were a lot of people I came in contact with, a lot of people I say, you should do this and not that. This is how you do these things. So when I'm sitting there getting ready to pull the plug on my writing career, it was like, well, then what was the last 30 years about? It was your prime directive. Your prime directive said, this is what and you did all of these things. You learned a lot about publishing. You shared it with a lot of people. You're done. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right then.
Wow.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Was that meditative state that you put yourself in, was that self-imposed? Did you go to some healing person or worker to do that, or was that just something you did on your own?
I'm very private in regard to those things, so I did it myself.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
That's interesting. Just for someone listening who's like, oh, I feel like I need to do that. So now they have some idea of, well, I guess I just need to do it.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And it was the same. In the last 5 years, I became a Reiki master on my own because that's the way I wanted to do it. I also decided that I was going to get a degree in spiritual healing, if for no other reason but for me. And I did that as well.
Cool.
So all steps forward into the life that I had hoped to live.
Right.
And I feel like I'm pretty much living it now. I see a lot of things happening. My eyes are open. I'm not back in the cave. My eyes are
Right.
open. And I like to talk to people about those things. It's fun to sit down when you have someone who's like-minded. The ones who aren't just kind of step away very quickly, and that's fine.
Yeah.
They can step away from me. I don't care.
It's not their time maybe yet. Yeah.
But I'm always there. If someone has a question and wants to talk to me about something, I'm there.
Right.
I have my opinions, and my opinions don't have to be your opinions. They're just how I see things and believe in things. And so,
two ladies I want to ask you about if you ever had any interaction with, since you've been in 29 Palms since the 70s. The first would be Elizabeth Campbell.
I did not meet her. It would have been nice to have sat down with her because I love archaeology. I love it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to be the next time around.
An archaeologist.
Yes, yeah. They're waiting for me.
That's
so
right.
when I go, that's where I'm going.
Okay. And what about Helen Bagley?
I don't think that I met Helen Bagley,
Okay.
but I can't be certain. It might have been one of those individuals who we would have crossed paths, but I wouldn't understand how significant she was. During my time working on the Marine Corps base, that was my focus. So although I knew about certain people in town, I didn't really
Right.
know them until after I was done on base. And then we started coming out into the real world, or I did. Then I was able to
Interact more.
yes, and understand and
Right.
appreciate the different relationships and stuff.
Do you remember attending any, I know there were a lot of square dance things happening and social events, parades, that sort of stuff. Do you have any recollections of those? I know that you participate in the Weed Show, but there were a couple other things too, but any of those things.
It was always fun when Pioneer Days rolled around because I could take the kids to the carnival, and that was a big deal for us to go to the carnival. It was a big deal to go to the parade. Sometimes they would be in the parade because they were Boy Scouts. I was actively involved in the scouting program until my son got his Eagle Scout, and then we were done, so I was done. I tried to coach some sports when they were short on people, but I don't like real sports. I just did the best I could. It was very
Right.
focused on my children growing, and then just getting by.
Right.
So
Have any of them stayed in the desert, or are they all out of the desert?
one son had moved to Austin. That's where he wanted to live. He had a friend that lived there, so he went there. Our other son moved as far away as the house next door. So when he starts complaining about, well, you made me do this and you made me do that, and I said, it was so horrible, you moved next door.
Right.
And he said, I can't even talk to you anymore. So that's where my grandchildren, two of my grandchildren are, and
Oh, great. So they're close by.
they're very close by.
Yeah. Tell me about your work with the Historical Society.
I first stepped in when they needed somebody to run the weed show. They needed some fresh blood, I guess, and smelt chum in the water. I don't know.
And just in case someone listening does not know what the Weed Show is, it's not a marijuana show.
No. It is artistic arrangements of desert plant material and found objects. Go on the 29 Palms Historical.com and you can see all the pictures that are there. So anyway, I'm very good at organizing. That's what I do. And I stepped in to organize that and prepare to-do lists so that the next person stepping in would be able to do that as well. And I did that for maybe 4 or 5 years before I had to step away. I was getting tired of being the planner and the bad guy and all of that.
Right.
You
Right.
can't do this, you can't do that. So
Or do you have this yet?
Yeah.
Do you have this yet? We open next week.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. So I did
feel
that.
you.
All I ever wanted to do for them was take pictures. And so that's what I returned to doing, was taking
Oh,
pictures
okay.
of the weed show. Recently, some circumstances happened where the person who was in charge of the accessions, and that's where someone donates something and then
Right.
you put it into the log and into the system, and it's all recorded for posterity.
Right.
And I stepped into that because it does require organization. It did need me to do that. I probably should have thought a little bit more about that because it's a lot more detailed than I wanted it to be. I just imagine me going in and saying, oh, what a beautiful little shawl that you're donating to us and we'll have it forever. And that's not what it was.
Tell me, what is it?
It was, you have to make sure that the record, is this something that we want to keep? It's, you have your little committee who decides, well, yes, this is important to keep and this is why. Then you've got to assign it a number and you need to put it into the computer program, make sure everything is all correct. Where does it go? What do you do? Can you remember where it was? Why is this not here? Why? All those different kinds of things. It seriously needed to be organized. So, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Where is all that stuff stored? Is it on site there where the research room is, or is there an off-site place?
You go farther. You've come into the research room.
Right.
The room beside it is the office, and the room beside that is a secured archive area that's climate controlled and sealed.
Wow.
And crowded.
And I bet, yeah.
As an example, one of the things that recently happened is they had all these telephone books that had been donated from 1941 through 2020.
Oh my gosh.
And they had to be accessioned and assigned a number and stored.
Wow.
And that's finally done. When the Twentynine Palms Library donated 15 boxes of books to us because the county told them they could no longer have local history in the library.
Wait, what?
The county San Bernardino County system decided that this library was never going to have any more local history.
Because
That's just the way it was.
Oh my goodness.
So they gave us 15 boxes of books, and we had to go through all those books and decide what stays, what can we use, and what can't we use. So working with the librarian, Cheryl Erickson, she and I had our system going, so instantly, this is what we keep into the computer, it goes over here, we'll assign the catalog number, and then it's on the shelf. So it was really, really quick, very quick.
Yeah.
But we got it all done. We accessioned over 200 books.
Wow.
And then the books that remained, Dana Bowden, who is the goddess of all, as far as I'm concerned, decided, let's have
Was that the book sale on the Leap Day, if I recall correctly?
Yes, it was. And that turned out to be an excellent fundraiser
I bet.
for them, and they split the money with Friends of the Library.
Oh, how wonderful.
So
I'm still having trouble getting past the county of San Bernardino making these kind of decisions.
so are we.
I mean, what if there's a little town in San Bernardino County that has this stuff in a library but doesn't have the advantage of having a historical society who can do what you all are doing? That is just lost.
It is.
Or I don't know why they wouldn't offer to take some of the stuff too. Don't they have a county archive?
I don't know about that.
I think they do.
It wasn't, it's my understanding that it did not only affect the Twentynine Palms Library, but others as well.
I bet.
So, and
That
they
is just
renovated
nutty.
and
Right.
well, we're lucky because it came to us and we can protect the stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then, so I don't know why. It just was heartbreaking.
It's just crazy. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. I don't know if I'm going to be able to
I'm sorry.
get over that.
I'm sorry.
No apologies. I'm glad to know about it though, because I don't think that's something that people realize.
You go to
you
the
know?
library expecting library books.
Sure. And be able to
they're gone.
research. Right.
They're all gone.
How crazy. Well, on that note, believe it or not, we've come to the end.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That was very quick.
It was very quick. But before I let you go, I would like you to select 2 of those numbered chips for me, please. And those numbers correspond with questions. And the answer to those questions will be made available to the Patreon supporters of the podcast. So let's see what we have for you. First is, what's your favorite kind of pie and why? When is the last time you changed your mind? Do you have a meditation or gratitude practice you'd like to share? That's relevant. And what's one important thing people should know about the desert? So if you would like to hear Cathy's answers to those questions, go to desertladydiaries.com, click on the support page, and sign up to be a patron of the podcast. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I want to acknowledge your husband, Les, because he does so much too for that historical society. And he is the person who takes all of my recorded interviews and the transcripts and makes sure that they stay available to people in the Twentynine Palms Historical Society records. So thank you to you, and thank you to Les.
Thank you so much for those kind words. I'll let him know.
Thank you.
I've got a shout out to new Patreon supporter Kelly L. Kelly, thank you so much for your financial support of Desert Lady Diaries. I am so appreciative of all my patron support. It really helps, especially now in this time of uncertainty. Thanks also to Mary Helen T., Julia E., my mom, and Sarah M. for purchasing Desert Lady Diaries merch. If you want to check it out, go to desertladydiaries.com and click on the merch button. And a big thanks to Errol O., I hope I said that right, Errol, for signing up for the new episode newsletter. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. As we all navigate this strange time, there is a lot of fear, anxiety, and scarcity mentality in the air. If you find it's becoming too much, let's take Cathy's recommendations to heart. Go outside, find a quiet place where we can take some deep breaths, ground ourselves, and have gratitude for even the smallest things. If there are ways we can be of service, that always helps to take the focus off of ourselves, whether it's texting, calling, FaceTiming, or Skyping a friend, writing them a note or letter, or pitching in safe ways to help our communities. I want you to know I'm holding thoughts of strength, health, and hope for you, because this too shall pass. Until next time, thanks so much for listening.